Thanks for joining me, Steve. So in 5 weeks' time today, we'll know the result of the general election. What are you expecting to happen in the next few weeks?
Gosh, well, I wrote something the other day and I talked about fireworks, and certainly I'm not been disappointed. There have been lots of sort of controversies, not the least of which, of course, the Labour Party and its anti-Semitism problems. The fact that Boris Johnson has said something today, which of course is patently not true. So yeah, it's going to be sort of a Brexit election. There's no doubt about it. It's one where all the parties are going to engage in sort of trying to propagate their positions and to make themselves the future for certainly the next 5 years. The actual sort of result is going to be interesting. The polls would indicate that the Johnson administration will continue and he'll get a good working majority. Having said that, of course, the polls indicated that last time for Theresa May, and she ended up sort of losing a majority. So I've got a hunch that I think if he gets a majority, or Johnson gets a majority, it's going to be a pretty slim one. And I think a lot of people are saying, and I would be inclined to agree with this, that he'll possibly sort of not get the majority he's looking for, and may then have to be a Conservative sort of government, or minority government, if I may say so. Or alternatively, then Labour will go into coalition with other parties. But of course, the difficulty is they're all setting out their positions in such a way as to sort of make that sort of collaborative working much more difficult than perhaps we might think.
So Tom Watson has, of course, stepped down as Labour deputy and as an MP. What do you think about this?
Well, Tom Watson, his position has been difficult for the last couple of years. It's no secret that him and Jeremy Corbyn have not always got on. I mean, the resignation letter that was sort of doing the rounds 2 days ago would suggest that it's very amicable. But I mean, clearly in the sort of the Labour Party conference back in September, there was even an attempt then to sort of depose Tom Watson. So his departure is, dare I say, it's unfortunate for the Labour Party. It would suggest that the moderates at the heart of power has left, and quite clearly that there will be sort of move to sort of fill it with a sort of a Corbynite. And in fact, I've seen the sort of Dawn Butler, the Shadow Equalities Minister, is up for this. It's unfortunate because I think Tom Watson was seen, if you like, as a kind of the middle of the road, not quite New Labour, but certainly not Corbynite. And it's unfortunate to see, as I say, the sort of moderates going. I know you're probably going to talk about Ian Austin in a moment. That is even more so difficult. But the fact he did it, I mean, I think that the timing of his announcement during Boris Johnson's manifesto launch on Tuesday evening, sorry, it was Wednesday evening, if my mistake, that was obviously very deliberate, so there was a little bit of coordination going on there. I think it doesn't bode well, and of course the Tories that are sort of milking this one for what it's worth, and they're fully entitled to do so.
So on the subject of Ian Austin then, so the former Labour Minister, Ian Austin, is urging voters to back Boris Johnson. Do you think this is an attack on the Labour Party?
Well, I think you couldn't describe it as anything less. I mean, a former minister, and somebody who, he's very much more sort of New Labour than the sort of likes of Tom Watson. But for somebody who has been a long-standing member of the Labour Party to be telling sort of Labour voters to vote for Boris Johnson. And let's face it, Boris Johnson, even has his own critics within the sort of Tory party. Yeah, it's something of a revelation. It tells you the sort of the topsy-turvy world that we're sort of in. I mean, there is obviously the sort of the anti-Semite aspect of Ian Austin's departure. Yeah, that's kind of polluted the waters for the Labour Party. Ian Austin, of course, has made his feelings known. We've seen what sort of came out in the Jewish Chronicle yesterday. It's pretty dreadful stuff, I have to sort of say, and the fact he's stepped down is probably no bad thing, because of course I don't suppose he'd be very popular in Labour circles. No, it's absolutely sort of it's a revelation. It's a sort of story that perhaps none of us saw coming. And as I said a couple of moments ago, this is the sort of Brexit election which is going to be characterised by lots of controversy, lots of fireworks, and that certainly was one of the sort of the big firecrackers that's gone off. And I'm sure if it has not done so, it caused consternation in the Labour Party headquarters. It should have done so, because, as I say, it's come at a pretty bad time.
So what do you think of the Lib Dems, Greens and various other parties' election pact?
Well, the Lib Dems, Plaid Cymru, and the Green coalition. Well, not coalition is probably not the right word, but it's this pact they come into. I saw John Curtis, the Seminole psephologist, talking about this yesterday. He says that the impact of this is going to be marginal. He thinks it might actually result in additional 3 seats. Well, okay, 3 seats is 3 seats in a sort of hung parliament, which is always a possibility. That could be significant. I mean, clearly what we've got are 3 very sort of dedicated Remain parties. Indeed, the sort of Liberal Democrats have said that if they were to get into government, which of course is a sort of, that would be a sort of an incredible sort of turnaround for their fortunes, given where they were not that many years ago, would revoke Article 50. Then, there is lots of common grounds, both in terms of Brexit and indeed the sort of the green agenda and the social agenda that they're all signed up to. So I don't see it as being sort of particularly surprising. There was a view that maybe the Labour Party would have become involved in this, but I think that seems to be off for the time being. Who knows what may happen in the sort of the aftermath of the election.
So is this a Brexit general election, or do you think we need to have more discussions around social issues?
Well, I mean, the fact is social issues are being discussed. There is no doubt about the fact that sort of the launch of the sort of the economic agenda for both Labour and the Conservatives is about putting far more money into the economy in terms of public services and the infrastructure than would have been the case under sort of the austerity agenda of the sort of the coalition government. I mean, undoubtedly, the election, this is, as everyone agrees, a Brexit election. But it's good to see that sort of other sort of items and issues are sort of coming to the fore. But quite clearly, the sort of the cloud of Brexit hangs over this, and people's voting intentions, I think that'll be first and foremost in people's minds. And I do sort of understand and appreciate the argument that it would have been better to have got Brexit out of the way, either through the government sort of putting the withdrawal sort of agreement bill through, but of course clearly that was not sort of Johnson's intention, or alternatively having another referendum to sort of to get this matter settled once and for all, and then to have an election, which of course is about 5 years hence, and it will be obviously dictated by the outcome of Brexit, whatever that may be, because that will have a big influence on the sort of the trade and the economy. But as I think we all agree, it's the sort of the big issue that will dominate all others.
Thanks for joining us, Steve.